And we are now recording live. Welcome to the Actors Podcast, Episode 3. I am here with the lovely guest, Lau Lapides, and we are here in the studio. So, La, welcome.
Thank you, Jamal. It's so great to be here. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Also, just to let everybody know, it is the anniversary of COVID, 4 years. How about that?
Wow, that's kind of amazing.
It's magical. I know.
Magic. I'm glad we're here.
So am I. So am I.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Always.
So a lot has happened in the market. A lot has happened in the acting world. So just to give a brief for the actors out there who want to get into this business, what would be your suggestions on that for anybody trying to start out right now?
Yeah, right. That's a great question, trying to break in. And you know, we get that all the time at the studio. And you know, I always say, like, it's not just one way to do it. It's never just one way to break in. Like, that would be true of any industry, but certainly our industry, it is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. The one thing you can do is, if you know it's something that you're interested in doing, like, check in. Is it a dream of yours? Is it something that you're, you know, fantasizing about, or something that you've wanted to do your whole life? You know what I mean? We oftentimes hear, oh, people tell me I have a great voice, or I would look beautiful on camera, or I should be a model, right? You've gotten that.
Yes, I have.
Many times. So I think that's a little cue that you just kind of put away in your head, in the Rolodex of your head, and you say, yeah, that's cool to know what the perception is of my audience. And then kind of check in with your heart. Is it something that you really want to do? You have to really want to do it.
Right.
It's that kind of industry. It's incredibly competitive. It's a saturated industry. I'm very honest and transparent. And not only as a coach, but as an agent, I'm very honest with people. I say, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people out there that are in the industry and want to get in the industry, but there's always room for you. If you're coming in, just know there are thousands and thousands of jobs for voiceover talent, on-camera actors, models, and every market is different.
Correct.
Right? And now we live in a time, certainly post-COVID, as you just mentioned, that's wonderful in the sense that we can work anywhere. We don't have to live in the market. So if you have dreams of working in New York or LA or Florida or Atlanta or even overseas, you know, there's a good possibility you can do it, because the process of auditioning now, for the most part, is all online.
Correct.
Right? You've experienced that a lot in the last few years. And so that has been exciting. I feel exciting for accessibility of new talent coming in, and talent who do not live in the market that they are submitting for, which is a lot. Probably most talent don't live in the actual market.
That's true.
Right? That they're submitting for. So I think here, going back to your question, though, the first steps are get a great team on your side.
Yes.
It's really important. This is not a solo sport. You've got to train. You've got to be in classes. You got to be coaching. You got to have your, you know, accountability buddies. You have to have family support or friend support. It's really that kind of thing where it's not a sprint. It's a long-term marathon. Right? And it's not an overnight success either. You know, one of my running jokes at my studio, I think you've heard me say this, is, you know, one of my coaches will say, look at her, meaning me. Look at her. She's an overnight success. Right? And a client will say, wow,
I know.
that's great. And I say, yeah, I'm a 40-year overnight success. Right?
You do got a point.
Which means it may or may not take you 40 years. But what I'm saying is, I've been in it my whole life. It's a process of building a business.
Yes.
You're really building your own business when you come into this business, because even if you land representatives, agents, managers, and such, they're still looking at you as a business. They're partnering with your business. They're not going to be the one that saves your business. They're the one that partners with you to make money and support your image and your brand, right? So when you come in, get in the right classes, get in the coaching. That's what our team is doing all the time, really supporting people, whether they're online or in person. We're hybrid, in getting the real craft. Like, get your craft down, know what you want to do, know what is actually feasible for you to do. I'll oftentimes say, I'd love to be a 22-year-old Scandinavian supermodel, but that ain't happening. Okay, because that's not who I am. It's not my brand. It's not my anything. And I'm just joking. I love being the best of me, having what I can give, the value that I can give to others. So don't come into the industry disillusioned that you're going to be that instant top model, that instant famous Johnny Depp, that instant anything. It's not instant. It is a process. It's a craft. We have to respect that. We have to train and educate. And then we have to network, right? One of the things that I learned years ago, and I wish I learned much earlier than I actually learned, is it's not always the how, it's the who. Meaning, who am I connected to?
Right.
Who do I know? Who am I networking with and building relationships with? That over time, we're going to help each other get referrals. We're going to help each other get business.
Yes.
Right? So it doesn't cut out the how. I still have to know how to do my craft. I have to know how to give value to a client or a customer in doing what I do. However, just doing it is meaningless if I'm not connected to actual people with relationships that can hire me.
Agreed.
So those are some of the beginning steps, I would say, to aspiring talent coming in. Be passionate, be excited, be wanting to jump over the moon, but also be realistic that it is a job. It's a career. It's something that you build over a lifetime. It's not a weekend or a year or even, whatever people do, a week-long workshop or whatever. Those are just small steps.
Right.
In the gestalt of building something that might last your lifetime.
And that's why we always say it's a journey, not a race.
I like that one. Right? And slow and steady wins the race.
I love that. Okay.
In this game, it does.
It does. Going to the casting as far as the different networks, that was the other thing I wanted to touch on. So a lot of people were wondering, well, where should I go to promote my stuff as far as my pictures, my demos, things of that nature? I did have a list, but there could be more. I have casting networks. I have Central Casting. There's Playbill. There was Mandy back in the day. And then there was LA, New York, and then Actors Access. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know if you could touch on that just a little bit about what do you think is the best out of those 6 that I just named out?
Those are great 6. And I would say all of them, you should be approaching at the right time. Meaning, once you've done some training, once you've done some coaching, once you know what you're doing, you know what you're selling then. You know what your brand starts to become. We have to be aware of that before we start publicizing it. Right? It would be a famous, soda brand that goes on the market. And of course they're beta testing. They're always beta testing. But if they don't know the name of it, they have no working title, they don't know what the ingredients are yet, and they don't know what the color of the label is, but they just stick the bottle on the shelf, no one's going to buy it. No one's going to buy it. They don't even know what it is. They don't know what it is. So casting and producers, filmmakers, managers, they love when you know who you are first. They love that because they don't have to guess. Now, if you're off base, if you're way out there in terms of what you think you're doing or what you think you're going to be cast in or what you think your image is, someone's going to set you straight. They're going to say, "No, we're not casting you in that. You're not right for those roles, right?
Right.
You're no longer the 20 to 25 set. Sorry, you're the mom now. You're the dad now," right? So make sure that your coaches and the trainers on your side are being honest with you. They're transparent and they're really working in the industry.
Yes.
And not necessarily only coming from an academic or theoretical background. They're coming from people who are in the industry. They know what's happening with casting. I would even suggest to go further than that, work with people who are working, work with people who are producing, work with people who are casting. It's not necessarily that they're the best per se in regards to information. It's just they're the most active. They're the most effective in knowing the pulse of the industry now, today, and what you want to be doing. And they're going to be more connected than
Yes.
people who are behind an academic umbrella and their focus may be different. They may be writing books. They may be directing shows. They may be, producing in-house for the schools that they work for, which are fantastic. But your interest is to work in the industry,
Correct.
to work in the practical, hands-on world. That's what we're talking about here, right?
Yes.
So you want to be connected to people who are actually doing that, right? And I say go as high as you can. Like work with the casting directors if you can, work with producers if you can, work with managers. So managers are harder. Oftentimes managers are not going outside of their sphere in regards to training and such. But work with agents. I know I am constantly, like today, being asked to be a guest host or a guest trainer, or after this I'm headed to a conference in Boston where I'm going to be working with those folks. Work with people who are out there. They're on the road, so to speak. They're doing it. They're meeting, because they're going to be looking at you and auditioning you. Okay?
That's the key part.
That's the key part. Anytime you're in a class, a session, a conference, what have you, and you're in front of someone like that, of course you're learning from them. Of course you're getting gems dropped all over the place for your learning. But the real purpose of why people want to be in front of them is for work. Thinking
Correct.
about them for projects they may be working on, asking them, may I send you a submission? I'd like to send you my submission just to have on file. Oftentimes they'll say, yeah, sure, absolutely. Getting their contacts, like the contacts are gold, like emails are gold,
Right.
Getting those email contacts. So, back to your original question, I think all avenues are good avenues as long as they are legitimate and qualified, as real, obviously, and not scammy.
Right.
And everything you read to me was real and legitimate and great. And there's always new ones popping up out there that you can look up. Do your Google or your DuckDuckGo search. It takes a day to do it. It's not a big deal. If you're not sure, ask. Like, don't feel like you're dumb because you don't know the sources. We all have to learn somehow. So go to your trusted people to say, hey, have you heard of this? Hey, have you worked with this? Hey, have you submitted for this? Just to make sure it's not a scam. Like, you don't want to be caught in that. Every single source that you are going to enter online, you do have to pay something for it. They are services. They are on platforms. They have expenses. And many of them, the ones you read, are legitimate. You have to pay for all of those.
That's very important. You do have to pay for it, guys. You have to pay to play. I know a lot of people don't like that, but if you're just starting out, I don't have any family members in the organization. It's just me. So this is how we learn, guys. This is exactly how we learn.
Yeah, and think of it as an investment. So just like you would invest in your microphone, you would invest in your lighting,
Right.
in your laptop, in whatever you're using for your self-taping experience, right?
Correct.
That's another one. And I got to tell you, and you know what, you guys, I understand exactly who you are and where you are. I was there too. Trust me on it. But what we're spending is truly a drop in the bucket compared to other industries. Go do the math. Go cross-check what a financial advisor or a dentist or a doctor or a C-suite executive has spent investing in their education, in their graduate degree, in their their software and whatever. Sometimes it can go thousands to millions sometimes, depending on how high up they're going to go. Ours is very, very reasonable, and you can do it incrementally. You don't have to do it all at once. Like, do it incrementally. We always update our studio or update our wardrobe or update our makeup or update whatever as we work, as we earn money. We can't do it all up front. This idea
Nobody can.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
Right? I think that comes in that, mindset of, I want to do it quick. I want to do it fast. I want to get it. You can't. You just can't. And the technology is changing too. Even if you think you're outfitted in a year and a half, you might want to, update something. You have a really cool magnetic thing on your phone, I'm noticing, for our shoot today.
Yes.
That's something you may want to go out and say, hey, I want Jamal's cool magnetic thing on the phone to help me with my webcam stuff. And that's going to cost me $20 or $25 or whatever that costs me. It's not really a cost. It's an investment.
Exactly. I love that. And that's huge because a lot of things that we're spending on, it is an investment and you will receive it back tenfold as long as you apply yourself, folks. And as long as you use the necessary skills for the tools that are given to you. Because as we come to this world, we use the tools that are given to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a dance in this game. It's a dance.
Right on. So true, so true. And it swerves and it tilts. It's like the tilt-a-whirl at the carnival that used to go on, right?
Yeah.
Just when you think you're going in one direction, it goes, it spins around. And we want that. Like, I know you're going to get a little like nauseous from it and say, oh my, how can I keep up with this? Well, it's up to you. You're going to get out your time management chart, see what you're committing in terms of time, see what you're committing in terms of balance of your life, right? And then go for it. Work very hard. I would say, yeah, you're going to work smart and try to be organized and work, with programs that work for you. But at the end of the day, you're going to work hard. You're going to work hard at this.
Yes.
It is one of those, grinds. I think the word is grind. It's a grinding profession and you have to love the grind.
Yes.
I look forward to the grind. I'm addicted to the grind. It's a dopamine kick for me. I love it. I love when I see like my student Jamal, my former student who's now a total pro, podcasting, self-taping out there in the world. I feel like, all right, I was one of his successful little spokes in the wheel that helped him get there. Well, I look at everything that way.
Yeah.
I look at everything that way. It's not like all at once. The spaghetti hits the wall all at once. It's little moments, little details that add to your career.
Exactly. And going back to asking questions, what my mom always said, a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Ooh, I like that one. I'm going to steal that. It's so true. Like you have to be articulate. You have to be assertive. You have to be a little brave. You have to be courageous, right? No one's saying be obnoxious. No one's saying be arrogant. No one's saying be an unlikable person that we don't want to be in the car with traveling to New York with.
Exactly.
Right? But we're saying speak up, right? Advocate for yourself and be someone who is unafraid to share what your value is, really knowing what I do, what I'm working on, what I'm putting out into the world on those casting sites. I feel good about that. I keep building onto that. So when someone's doing an audition, when a producer is putting out an audition, I feel right for that audition. I feel like I fit that audition. I feel like I'm appropriate for that casting. It is a numbers game, so we have to know when we go in it. Just because we've checked off all the boxes, we know we're right for it. It's a perfect role for us. We're going to get it. When we don't book it and we don't get it, that we know what to do with that reaction, right? Psychologically.
Yes.
You have to know how to react to not getting the booking and not getting what you want, right? So practice that, just like you practice everything else. Have the plan in place. Sometimes it's your friends or your accountability buddies or your partner that you go to and you say, I want to express this. I'm really bummed out about that. I really was looking forward to that. That's fine. But the pros are really trained that once they do the audition, they go like this. They go like this.
Right.
And they say, I'm done with that. I have 5 things I have to move on to.
On to the next one.
They literally don't remember what they did. Like if you asked me, Lau, you did, 5 auditions and 3 demos on Monday. What was it? I have to go to my calendar and look it up. I literally cannot remember because we're all working so hard.
Correct.
And work begets work. You always want to be working,
yes,
right?
That's
right.
That's the key part. Always want to be working.
And when I say that to my early entry people, it doesn't mean getting booked and getting paid. It means I'm self-producing. I'm coming up with projects. I'm creating work for charities. I'm doing my own podcast. I'm doing a million things. I'm doing a web series that I always wanted to do. I'm creating little animations. I'm doing that not only for marketing and promotional. I'm doing it because it feeds me as a creative and as a person.
And I love that. And I love the passion. And that's why we cater to people like you, Lau, that are in this business, because we need people that are passionate, something that gives to the business.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it is, you're giving something.
Yes.
I think that's very important.
That's great. The give is the serving, the giving of value, right? The serving, the providing, whatever those action verbs are for you as an actor, you're doing it as a business person too. Like, so change the rhetoric, change the language around. Instead of saying, I was rejected from that job, I didn't book that, or, oh, they didn't want me, or I didn't get it. Change the rhetoric to say, my value really didn't have a place in that project at this time. It just didn't. But if I gave a great audition, I did some powerful correspondence with them. I have them listed on my hit list. They're in my software program and my CRM. Yep. I'm going to go back to them in 3 months or 5 months, or they're going to come back to me and say, you know what? Remember you submitted to us. We didn't book you. Well, we got another project coming up and we really like your look. So So it's not a personalized game. It's not an emotional game. It shouldn't be, at least.
Correct.
Where you take yourself on that emotional ride of what did I do wrong and why didn't I get it and Don't waste the energy. I'll tell you right now, it's a big wasted narcissistic energy game. Go right to your next project. Go right to your next goal. You're going to feel a lot better. Yes. And you're going to do what athletes do. We're kind of like athletes in that way. We recover. Athletes have to play a game very hard, but then they have to do a recovery period.
Yes, they do.
Right? Otherwise, their muscles don't come back.
Correct.
Their brain isn't completely, focused. They're tired. They're listless, right? They're fatigued. Yep. So they have to know what replenishes me fast, what rejuvenates me quickly, and do it. And typically, right? And typically it's not hanging out in the locker room or at the bar or at the restaurant saying, what happened? Why didn't we get that? Why did we lose for like weeks at a time?
Right. You have to just stay focused in the game. I mean, of course, you don't want tunnel vision, but you want to be focused in all different angles. I mean, you just got to play the fool's card where at times you just have to take a leap of faith, just like myself. And I also wanted to touch on, for somebody who really didn't have too much acting experience prior, but I have military experience going in, I feel like also when it comes to like the colleges and the universities, they say, we want you to work to get experience, something that you can bring outside that you can add value, going back to the adding value to the business. So I'm like, well, I'll use my military expertise, being on time, being patient, being cordial, all those great things, practicing decorum. This is all very important.
This is everything, actually.
Yeah.
People don't recognize it, but we're soldiers.
Yes.
We're soldiers. And the reason why I say that is because it's a tough profession. It's a grind. You have to have a very core spirit to know who you are and not allow not getting the bookings to get you down. And sometimes when you do get the bookings, it's challenging. Like you have to travel to other states and you're working outside in cold weather. And then you have overtime on a film set and it's gone from 8 hours to 15 hours. And then it's raining. And then you're exhausted. And then you're losing your voice. And then you haven't seen your kids for 5 days. It's a soldier's kind of career. And we have to kind of view it that way, saying not tough in the sense that it's horrible, I don't want to do it. It's tough in the sense that it is not glamorous, that you're wearing the gown for the Oscars every day. You're never wearing the gown for the Oscars, is the
Correct.
truth. You're usually wearing, junky jeans and a sweatshirt and on a 3-day shoot, right? So you have to love that.
Yes.
You have to love being in the trenches.
That's the key part, and I love that you said that. Be in the trenches and always have a war buddy with you, or a wingman, as we say in the Air Force.
Yes. And always keep your feet dry.
Correct. Feet is important.
As we say in our industry, ironically, we say, like, don't have cold feet. Meaning,
yes.
Right? Meaning be brave, be courageous, don't get stage fright, don't let things shut you down. Well, as a soldier, if you have cold feet, you can die.
Correct.
All right. How fun is that? We get those sayings for a reason.
Yes.
Right? Because they can kill you. They can kill your career.
Correct.
They can kill your mindset. They can kill your spirit.
Right.
And I'm a big fan of faith. And
Yes.
spirit, whether you're religious or not religious, whether you believe in a spirit or not, it's irrelevant. What you have to believe in is something larger than yourself.
Yes.
And that there is some sort of fate involved. It's not all about your talent and skill. Sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's fate, sometimes it's timing, it's numbers, it's stars aligning, it's meeting the right people at the right time. But couldn't you argue that's all of life?
Exactly. Because we don't know. We don't know, but we feel and we believe. As long as you believe, you can achieve.
Ooh, write that down. I love it. And it rhymes. That's great. But that's true of every great thing in life, whether you're looking for a partner to share your life with, whether you're going to school, whether you're working side hustles or other jobs. There's always a level of out of your control, out of your management. You just have to go with that flow of life. There's a flow of life that we can't control.
Yes.
And actually, some might say most of life we can't control. It's how we manage life as we live it. The choices we make help us move in different directions.
Man, that was beautiful.
It just helps us. But does it ultimately control? No, God forbid I could come up with a terrible disease or something awful could happen today. But I don't allow the mindset to move in that direction because it will not be successful for me or for any of my community around me to dwell on that. So I think that's what we're coming down to here is don't dwell on negative.
Right. Don't let the negativity enter your inner matrix. Don't let it do it.
Good word. Yeah, choose the positive because the positive is always going to be one that brings people towards you.
Yes.
That's the magnet. When someone says, Lau, what's the it factor? Say, well, it's very hard to determine what the it factor is, but we know it when we see it.
Yes.
Right? And typically it has a very positive ownership of your space and environment. Like I'm here, I want to be here, I'm meant to be here, and we're going to do something great.
And that's why in the military, we teach you situational awareness. Because if you have that, you're ready for anything.
Ooh, I love this. See how I'm learning so much? We learn from each other in the industry. That's the other thing, too.
Yes.
If you can remember, there's no quota. There's no age limit. There's no hitting my ceiling of learning. I'm 56 and I'm in professional development every day of my life. I'm learning from my former students. I'm learning from my colleagues. I'm learning from my husband. You have to keep that gateway open.
Correct.
Because not only does it keep you young and youthful, it keeps you happier.
It does.
Right? You shouldn't have to know everything. You shouldn't have to feel like it's done. I get it. I know it. That welcomes jadedness and cynicism and sort of a dark quality, I think, of sadness that what's left, I get it. What I've done no, you haven't. There's so much in life that you can be exploring that's going to add to your craft as an actor.
Agreed. Do you feel it's always great to be well-rounded?
Absolutely. In fact, I would say you become more interesting as a performer if you keep the curiosity alive.
Okay.
Like a childlike inquisitiveness.
Yeah.
And it could be something very simple, like I'm going to try a new restaurant, or I want to taste something I haven't tasted before.
Right.
Maybe I want to take a trip to a state that I haven't seen. And I know I'm going to learn a lot from the culture of the people, the landscape, the whatever. That's all going to be in me as the performer, right?
Yes.
Because how do I call upon a reservoir of emotion and connection to a life that I haven't lived?
Wow. That is so true.
I have to connect. I have to be unafraid to investigate those people, that culture, that geography, that. And we can't do it all. Life, we only have so much time in life. But the point is, every moment that you challenge yourself a little bit, every moment you do something new, every moment you get outside your box,
yes,
is a moment that enriches you as a person, makes you more accepting and open and tolerant, and it makes you more interesting as an actor.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So go for it. Like, don't be afraid. And I'm not saying to put yourself in dangerous situations, but I do want to put you in slightly more uncomfortable situations where you're not sure what's happening next. You don't know what the day is like if you go to Spain and you go to the city and you think, wow, oh my goodness, they take a siesta at this time. Okay.
Right.
What does that mean? Do I need to sleep now?
Right.
I mean, there's so much to experience in the world that can have a direct impact on your actor abilities. That I think that in North America,
Yes.
we don't do as much as we possibly can
Agreed.
to learn about other people and other cultures.
Agreed. Yeah.
Right. And that unto itself can just open up your whole world. And not only from an acting perspective, but from a business owner's perspective. Right? Because you're going to work with a lot of diversity in your business.
Yes,
You're
you
going to
are.
work with other languages.
Yes, you are.
Right? Other cultures. So how do you negotiate all of that when you're managing, when you're doing what you need to do just for the business itself is just having the awareness, the knowledge, and a little bit of that experience to say, well, this isn't in my personal world. I don't live this, but I'm really excited that I get to connect with this person.
Correct.
Who kind of brings me into the fold.
I love that.
It's fun too.
It is fun.
There's a fun factor in that.
So much fun. Now, going over to my other question is preparing for the audition. What do you think are the best steps to prepare?
Okay, so everything I mentioned earlier is the start to that, of course. You do need to coach. You do need to be in an excellent acting class. You do need to be in a class that teaches you about breathing, speech technique, accents and dialects, physical movement. Even if you don't consider yourself a dancer, it's okay. You should at least be a mover, what they call a mover, which means I can audition for parts that move.
Okay.
They do something with a movement.
Yes.
Right? I'll give you an example. If anyone has seen the Oscar-winning film, The Joker.
Yep.
Right? With
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh my goodness. How much do we love him? He won the Oscar for that role.
It was amazing.
He was a tremendous mover in that.
Yes.
Is he a proficient dancer? I don't know. Maybe he is, but he wasn't called upon to do that. He was called upon to move in very specific ways and styles.
Correct.
Based on the situational context that he was in. If he said, I don't do that, I don't move, I was never trained as a dancer, he wouldn't have gotten that role.
Correct. And I also remember even Leonardo DiCaprio had trouble doing that when he had to do the little dance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He wasn't a dancer, but he was able to try a little bit. And I'm just like,
right,
you still got to do it.
Right.
If you really want to do it.
Right.
Do it.
That's right. So it's really like thinking about your character moving, your character assuming that versus the stress of me as an actor, am I a proficient dancer? It's two different things. So when you're training as an actor, oftentimes if you're in a conservatory-based program, they're giving you fencing. They're giving you commedia dell'arte clowning. They're giving you all sorts of training methodologies. They're going to help you get out of your box, get out of your limitations as a person. Thinking, I don't do that. I don't really move that way. I don't know. Well, you have to know. You have to know. If you're in the, I remember when we were, I took a college class to England for a number of years to study the British stage, and we would have all sorts of amazing people giving us backstage tours. And one was the makeup, the mistress of makeup behind the scenes of Cats, showing us how they came up with the faces and the masks of of Cats. When I say mask, I don't mean a physical mask. I mean it was the makeup mask. And so they come up with the artistry, and then they would brand it. So it'd be exactly that face would be that character. Then they would teach it to the actor. And so the actor would have 8 shows a week, would be responsible for doing their own makeup exactly the way it was branded by the makeup artist, right? And if you came in and you said, I don't do makeup, I'm not a makeup artist, I don't really know, they wouldn't cast you.
Correct.
They'd say, we're not asking you to be a makeup artist. We're asking you to be open to learning how to do the face of your character.
See, I love that because I was challenged with that when we did Netflix, The Sleepover. learn ballroom dancing. And I haven't done that since I was like in elementary school when I did the swan dancing and the honor your partner and the courtesy and all that good stuff.
Right.
And it brought it back.
Yes.
And the director, she was amazing. She taught the whole class, to do the waltz and do the ballroom. And then now that's another thing you can add to your resume, because if you're training on set, that's a skill. Same thing with stick shift driving, since I know that's a rarity nowadays. I had to learn that on another film. So like I said, it's just
great. I mean, you have that openness to just want to learn.
correct.
What's the worst? Ask yourself this question. What's the worst that happens? You're not able to do it. And then they make a decision. Can we keep this actor or not?
Right.
But you're trying. You're trying. So I say this to be very clear. Don't lie. Never tell someone you can do something if you can't do it. That being said, be open to it.
Yes.
Now, and you have to know the difference and talk to your coach. I know we're never going to be NFL stars. Okay. So if they're looking for a professional level football playing person, a lot of us should never apply for that.
Correct.
But if they're saying, but we're just looking for guys that could be on the team that could run or they could kind of pass a ball.
Right.
Well, most guys in that realm could probably do that.
Agreed.
Well enough.
Yeah.
So I think determining in the breakdown of your specs and description of what the character is, run it by 3 or 4 people in your circle to say, hey, you know me, do you think I can do this? I think I can do this, but I don't want to go into it and they have expectations of a much more elevated level of presentation, right?
Yes.
So if they're doing like a ballet movie and they need people who are ballerinas, they're trained ballet dancers, that's not a mover.
Right.
That's a proficient athlete. That's a trained dancer, because you're going to be the double for the lead.
Correct.
Who's not a trained dancer. The lead is a mover.
Is a mover. That's why we have a difference between the movers and the shakers. Yeah. Huh? Where are we at?
122.
Okay. I got a couple more. Question also is, what is your top 5 favorite movies?
Oh, wow. That's hard.
I know it's hard.
I love a lot of genres. I'll name a few, but I can't get to 5. I mean, there's just too many of them, but some of them may surprise you. I love, okay, the first one I'm coming up with is the original Halloween. So amazing for so many reasons. First slasher film. I shouldn't say that. Maybe Psycho was the first slasher film, but the first modern slasher film was Halloween, I think. Right?
1979, I believe.
Loved it. I love movies like Sophie's Choice. Some of them are.
Right.
Yeah, Meryl Streep, World War II type of film. Love that. Just saw a film which I can highly recommend that I love, called Perfect Days. It is out now in the theaters. Japanese film. The lead actor won Best Actor at Cannes.
Really?
I won't give it away. I'll say it's a slow burn. It's very Japanese. You have to be patient.
Yep.
It's a beautiful film, brilliant film for what it is. It's gorgeous. I love films like Jaws, the original Jaws. Absolutely incredible for so many reasons.
Of course.
So many reasons. I like old school films, I think.
Okay.
Along with some of the new ones. I saw a film recently that's a brand new one. Executive producer of The Obamas that I really kind of liked a lot. It's going to go up on my list.
It was on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called Leave the World Behind.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's very wonderful but disturbing. Wonderful and disturbing for so many reasons.
I like that.
The Joker that I mentioned earlier is always on my mind because I thought it was a piece of brilliance.
It was.
Artistic brilliance.
Yes.
Watching that kind of work is really incredible. I could go on and on. Who couldn't in the industry? But if you like cross genres, if you like different kinds of things, I think it's going to make you more interesting as an actor.
Yes. I mean, for my top 5, real quick, it's mostly anything with Christopher Nolan in it, from The Dark Knight to Oppenheimer. I also love Black Hawk Down, since I watched that the other day, since we love Ridley Scott as a director.
Alien.
Alien, yep. And then I would also say Heat, which is Michael Mann, who's also my favorite director as well, since that had Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in the same movie. Let me see. What am I down to?
Good stuff.
2 more? Ooh.
This is too hard.
I know, right? It's so hard sometimes.
So many amazing filmmakers in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly whatever I keep on my Blu-ray disc. And I know I still use Blu-rays, guys, because what happens is the quality is still not the same as the internet. And so that's why.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Great picks.
I will say Bad Santa is one of my favorite Christmas movies, since that's on there. And then I would also say for Love Actually.
Ooh, that's an interesting pick. I like
movie.
it. Yeah, makes total sense. I'm going to throw in one more. I don't even think I got to 5. Original Vacation.
Yes.
Original.
Yes.
That's classic, right? That was Lampoon, Harvard's Lampoon.
Yes.
Right? National Lampoon.
Yeah. Classic.
Brilliant.
That's a classic.
You got to see that.
Yes.
For comedy's sake, you got to see that one.
So even though I'm trying to wrap this up, but I will say with real quick, the state of affairs, and then with social media versus traditional media, in your opinion, do you still like the way things are going with social media or streaming, or do you prefer broadcasting like in the past?
I like both. I think, let's get real though. I think that where it's at is social media, because I think, obviously there's so much you can do for free for those who are on a tight budget.
Yes.
So I think you can make a splash. You can do a lot of impact on social media. I just caution folks that, just be careful as you would with any media platform. Be super careful. Like, as an actor, don't post stuff that has to do with your jobs. Like, don't post contract stuff. Don't post negotiation, rates, fees, location, anything. Until something is over, until a project is over and out in the public and you have expressed permission, remember, you still may not have permission to post behind the scenes process. And you could get sued for that. That's a legal thing that you're doing. So just be careful, be aware. You're presenting yourself, you're presenting your business. Here's my top faves that I always give to people. Don't get on your social posts that represent your brand as an actor. Don't get overly political, religious, or sexual, and you're done. It's easy. Keep that separate. Keep that for your personal life and your personal friends and your personal circle. But the people in the industry really don't care about it, and it can work against you. Think about this. What if you audition for a great role or a great company, and your agent, or if you don't have an agent, they Google you and they find something that they don't like on your social media that goes against the ethics of their company or doesn't speak to their audience. They won't hire you.
Correct.
They won't hire you. It's not worth doing that. So again, if you need the checks and balances, go to your inner circle, ask them, say, hey, should I scrub my social media? Should I pull out these areas? Are they not savory for the larger audience? I have to be careful of that, because we're living in a land of oversharing, overthinking, oversharing over everything. And the truth is, you still have a lot of people who are decision makers and hiring over the age of 50.
That is correct.
They're from a whole different generation.
They are. They're from my mom's generation. Mostly, as we say, quiet on the West Front, or, the old school axioms and idioms. Those are usually what I always go for.
Yes.
And then going back to the acting state of affairs, and even with AI, in my opinion, AI is great. It's very convenient. It's very easy. The only thing is, though, when it comes to voiceover, I just feel like it's not necessary, because everybody is unique. A machine can't do the uniqueness of a person's voice.
Yeah. Well, that's the big war cry now in our profession, is we need a lot of protections put in place to protect our voices, our images, whatever, from being taken and being stolen and replicated in perpetuity. So we just have to be careful. Can we stop it? No. Is it oncoming? Definitely, and it has been for years.
Right.
But I think to have a healthy respect for what it is, what it can bring to us, but also how we can manage it and how we can keep a cap on it so it doesn't run into the Wild West,
Right.
right? Because you can lose your entire livelihood
You can.
over something like that.
You can.
And it's scary. It terrifies people at the thought of that.
It does.
You know, I mean, the imprinting of a voice is exactly the same as your voice, that someone may not be able to tell the difference.
Like, who's that?
Right? Yeah. So I think we have to just keep plugging away at having representatives that are great, that are working hard for us, and that we are supporting, you know, to just protect us and keep protect. And in the meantime, protect yourself,
Yes.
right? Protect your business, protect yourself. Right. If you think, I just had a great conversation with one of my talent. We were talking about scams because she unfortunately fell into a common scam. And she said, Lau, why don't you, you know, in one of your groups, why don't we talk about that? No one's talking about that. I said, great.
Right.
Great. What are some of the common scams out there? What are the hackers doing?
Right.
What's people on the dark web into
Exactly.
for us? I think, you know, making that come to light and transparent
Yes.
is going to be so helpful.
Oh,
for
yes.
all the young people coming up.
Right.
And she wasn't young. She was an older senior.
Oh, okay.
Right. And she fell right into it.
Yeah.
Felt terrible. And I said, don't feel terrible. You didn't realize, right? Now you know what to look for. You know some of the clues to look for. So be an advocate for yourself. Be protective of yourself.
Yes.
But still stay open.
Right.
As well to possibilities.
Oh my God. See, wealth of knowledge. Wealth of knowledge. This is amazing. And so I'm going to wrap it up. And this was amazing. I'm so glad you came. I know you have a busy schedule. Love you so much.
I love you back.
My heart and from everybody else's heart. And I thank you guys for subscribing. I'm going to try to put this on Amazon Music, iTunes. Also, it's going to be on Rumble, hopefully. And then even Spotify, because Spotify does the video and the audio, which is amazing, by the way. Quality is going to be off the charts. And I did tell my folks that I was going to be in a live studio. So like I said, I like to back up what I say. This is how we do things. Lau, it was amazing having you here.
It was my pleasure, and I'll come back any time of the day.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 3, Actors Podcast.